And on that note, we will keep it pushing to Raoni Barcelos minus 230 favorite over Valiev. And this is not hindsight 2020. I thought this money line was huge. Like, I get Valiev being maybe an underdog, but I thought this money line was too big. I really did, like, even before the fight. Timur Valiev, plus 180 underdog. And this fight was a banger, folks, fighting at bantamweight. Two
Fight was
thick
great.
bantamweights, too. Like, when you think bantamweight in your head, you think skinny dudes. These dudes are not skinny.
Well, Valiev's fought at 40, 45, and now 35. He's fought at 3 different weights in the all UFC fights, but, like,
Yeah.
we'll get to that later. But, like, you're right. You're right. He is a pretty thick boy for 135. Like, there's no way he's making 25, and I'm surprised he can make 35.
Me too. Yeah, and Barcelos was pretty thick in his own right for 35.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
But how'd you see round one, brother?
So I scored the first round 10-9 to Valiev. I thought he was just
too.
more active. I thought maybe he wasn't throwing with the same level of power as Barcelos, but, like, he was throwing so much more that in volume and quantity it was going to make up for it.
And kicks, too, right? He was making the kicks. I think Barcelos was just pretty much loading up on big uppercuts and big hooks. But, I mean, with the power Barcelos has, I mean, that was kind of his path to victory, was a knockout.
Right.
But yeah, so yeah, I saw round one same as you. Now, round two, Barcelos, those bombs started landing. They found their target. He was zeroing them in. He was like a mortar. Round one, he was just zeroing them in. And then round
I couldn't
two,
believe Valiev was awake.
down.
I couldn't believe he was awake at one point. Like, whenever he ate, was it the overhand and the uppercut that, like, just sat him immediately back down?
Those uppercuts. Yeah, that's what stood out in my mind. Like, in my mind's eye, I can just see those uppercuts from Barcelos.
Too.
So when I think of this fight, it's almost like a still shot of those uppercuts from Barcelos.
Dude, so did you score it? How'd you score the round, though? Did you score it 10-8?
I scored it 10-9 because, and this is why. All of that action happened in like the last 90 seconds of the round. And up until that point, Valiev looked really good. Just fine. It was very competitive. So it was like the first, 3.5 minutes were very competitive. Essentially, you could say coin flip. Kind of the same story as one. Valiev's volume versus Barcelos' power. But then just the right shot started landing for Barcelos towards the end of round two. And I think, and if I'm correct, I think it was like the last 90 seconds. But he did drop him twice. So it's like, I'm not killing anybody that gives us a 10-8. Because if you drop a motherfucker twice and you give him a 10-8 for it, like, I'm not mad at that. Like, that makes sense. But for me, 10-8 is kind of like you whoop a guy's ass from bell to bell. And that was not the story of round two, in my opinion. But it was kind of the tale of two halves, even though it was just one round.
Right. I agree with all that. So I actually scored 10-9 as well. I had 19-19 going into the third. For those exact same reasons you said, is that Valiev did enough in 3.5 minutes to where, like, he was ahead. So for him to lose the round 10-8, he would literally have to be, like, on, like, death's door, essentially, in the last 90 seconds if he's already won.
Both times.
Right.
He didn't go away. He's tough, man.
Yeah, he's got a chin.
I gotta say, out of he may be the worst Dagestani wrestler I've ever laid eyes on.
Yeah, it was surprising to see him not be able to grapple that well.
Yeah, man. When it was all said and done, Barcelos was 6 for 6 on takedown defense. I don't know if that's ever happened to a Dagestani that I've watched.
I mean, they would disown him for that.
Kind of not, like, dead ass though. Seriously,
like, they would not be happy.
Takedown defense was outstanding, very outstanding.
He's a really good grappler. He also had, he's low activity, but great hand speed and power. So Barcelos is a weird dude. Like, not a lot of losses.
And he's not a guy that's gonna favor to a scorecard either, which comes into play. Because in round three, it was the same old story of Valiev was able to recover from the ass whooping he took in round two. At the end of round two, Valiev was able to recover, and it came out honestly looking the same as round one, in my opinion. The volume, the activity, the significant strike numbers. I mean, it kind of was like he acted like round two never happened and did the same thing he did in round one, which is like pretty like
even crazier
mental strength. Like, because that's what every corner tells your fighter to do, but how many are able actually to execute that? That's
about none of them.
Fighter. Every time a fighter wins round one, gets his ass whooped in round two, the corner in between rounds 2 and 3 is like, forget that round. We got to go back to what was working for us in round one. It's like copy and paste. But he was able actually to make it work.
I mean, good on him, right? Like,
yeah.
I don't know what his corner was telling him because we didn't have the Russian translator out there for this fight. But whatever he did, first and third were like very similar. I felt like he dominated the first way more than the third because he was hurt, I think, and slowed down in the third. But I thought he still won the third round.
Yeah, so this fight ended up, what is it, a majority decision?
So one judge scored the second round 10-8 for Barcelos.
Yeah, which we both said we understood, and that's not like out of line. Like that's totally in bounds.
So he had it 28-28 a draw, and then the other two judges had it 29-28 like us. So 2 out of 3 get you a majority decision. Still a win for Valiev. Still get a win bonus. Still a plus 180 dog that cashes.
Yeah, this was a fight of the night, and like rightfully so. This was a great fight.
Oh, yeah, great fight.
This fight was awesome. And I thought it was going to be awesome. And like I said,
let me ask you this.
I would have picked Valiev, but I did think that money line was too high. I really did. Like, when I saw that, I was like, really? Like, Valiev? Like, really?
You think closer to like plus 135, plus 150, somewhere in that range?
Like, 125, 145, 150.
Put Barcelos like minus 180, minus 175.
Yeah, that wouldn't have been weird to me at all. But when I saw Barcelos at minus 230 over Valiev, I was like, I like that number. Like, that number, that's juicy.
That's fair.
My bad.
No, you're good. You're good.
We got to talk about Valiev's are you talking about his post-fight call-outs and demands and all that shit?
Yes.
So yeah, it started off all great. He was like, I've won 3 fights in 3 weight classes. I was like, and he did a great job of telling me that because I did not know that, even though I'd watched all 3 of those fights. I just, in my own memory, he's a bantamweight. He fought at bantamweight. Just my brain did that. But yeah, he fought at 45, catchweight 40, and then now 35. So, and he did a great job as far as promoting himself, of letting us know, which was true, that he had fought in 3 different weight classes, which is fucking, good on you. I thought that was badass because he brought it to all of our attention.
Great self-promotion. I mean, it was tremendous self-promotion.
Great. Especially for a guy limited English, but just stuck to the facts. Like, that was fucking great.
So I was going to ask you this as well as that, because I was going to note that, like, that's one of the better jobs I've ever seen of someone, like, sell themselves that doesn't understand English but understands marketing.
Yeah, he did such a good job. Now, where he fucked up is when he said, I want a new contract. He fucked up. And I don't mean he fucked up like I don't want him to make more money. But I mean, like, that's a good way to just, like, end the conversation and, like, it was going so good. And then now he's like,
and then you got to throw on some just sour at the end.
Because the thing is, has he made the UFC any money? No.
Is he a name that's selling tickets?
And has anybody bought a ticket to see him? Has he sold a pay-per-view? No. So, like, until you do either one of those things, you have zero leverage, like, quite literally zero leverage.
Until you can get a card in your hometown or closest big city to your hometown that sells out because you're there. Like Connor in Dublin. You know what I mean? That's when they knew he was a star, when they sold out a stadium with him in Dublin.
Valiev hasn't even been on a main card. Like, he's a prelim fight. Like that's
good point.
He's super talented, dope prospect. Can't wait. I loved him. I actually liked him in this fight, and I think that he has a bright future. But I think he just he kind of ruined it. Maybe he was just feeling himself. Maybe he's straight.
I mean, he was the featured bout on this main card.
He was, and he performed great. But he got the 50,000 bonus. Like, I just thought that like it's not that it bothered me, but I know how that's gonna land on the UFC office. They don't like that shit, and it's like it's not like he's John Jones or Francis Ngannou or you know what I'm saying? Like,
definitely.
Like, he's just not. He overplayed his hand. His hand.
Let me ask you this: if he's asking for a top 15 135er. And you're looking at 10 through 15, and you're going to put them in a co-main, what guy would you want to see Valiev fight? He trains with Frankie Edgar, so keep that in mind.
It's not even necessarily what I want to see. I think it's what's set up in position to happen because they both fought really recently. Chito Vera sitting at 13, and he just fought last week.
Valiev Chito would be an easy co-main to sell.
Yeah, that'd be a co-main on a fight night.
Yeah, that'd be an easy co-main to sell.
Yeah, because I think was Chito. Chito was the featured. They were both featured bouts too.
Man, I think for Valiev, he needs to win another co-main event. He needs to get ranked. Then needs to win another co-main event as a back end ranked fighter.
And he needs to get a takedown. Like that's what I like. He got. I mean, he got all 6 of his takedown stuff, and he's calling for new contracts. I mean, he won a majority decision.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I would not be calling for a contract off a majority decision. Like, what's your stock at whenever that happens? Fighter. Right, like your stock isn't sitting the highest whenever that's the result.
No, do I think he's talented? Yes, and I don't know. Can he keep making 135? I mean, he looks fine. But I mean, yeah, there's Kyler Phillips sitting there at 14. He's an interesting matchup because he's just such an explosive athlete, and Timur doesn't seem to be explosive at all. You got Chito Vera as far as name recognition goes. Jimmy Rivera's at 12. Cody Staman's at 15, and he just moved down 2 spots, so they may be trying to give his spot to somebody else. Maybe that's like a
Stamen and Valiev wouldn't be a terrible co-main to get him ranked and then let him fight. Like maybe then he fights like a Cheeto or like who was number 11?
11's a Sunsao, 12 Rivera, Jimmy Rivera, something like that.
Maybe he gets like into Sunsao Rivera as like his other co-main, and then boom, like then he's a top 10 guy or floating right at number 10, and he could be a fight night headliner.